Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Walsh and Mr. Griffin, for coming before the committee. Can I just go back to the cast iron embedded in concrete guarantee? Because there's still an unanswered question, and I think it'll be the narrative of this committee is that Shannon and Cork continue to have a question mark of uncertainty in relation to their connectivity. And I just wonder, for the benefit of trying to push this forward, could you give a commitment in relation? My own region is the Shannon region in the Midwest. Can you give a commitment in relation to the continuation of that? And as well as that, are you open to consideration in terms of the extension of what you regard as the time frame? Because I know, because I know that what has been suggested is that it's 5 years is what the offer that's on the table that's been spoken about. But I want to know: are you open to consideration, for instance, an extension of 10 or 15 years on that offer? Because if you look at it from our point of view, and you look at it from the stakeholders' point of view, there's a leap of faith being asked here in terms of the government stake of the 25%. And there is a question mark in relation to uncertainty. And if you look at it from a purely policy point of view of delivery into the regions, you know yourself from this morning that there's a temptation, even in the media narrative, especially with the national broadcaster, to focus on Dublin, Heathrow, Dublin, Heathrow, Dublin, Heathrow. And that was the main thrust of from what I heard this morning. But from the rest of the country's point of view and from the government's point of view, I think you'd be doing yourself a lot of service if certainty could be given to Cork and Shannon, and if consideration could be given to a longer time frame than what's currently being proposed, because, as I say, it is a considerable leap. Just as well in relation to the other shareholders, can you provide for the committee any information, for instance, as to how the other significant block of shares is responding to your offer, namely Ryanair? Are they amenable to what it is that you're proposing? And at the stakeholders' meetings, reference was made by one of the participants to the impact that British Airways had in Scotland. That and I'm paraphrasing what was said now, and you, in your role as CEO, you might be able to enlighten us. But basically, the suggestion was made here at the committee meeting: Scotland now is forgotten about. It's an outlier, and it gets really bog standard service. And that concern was translated here as well. That's where we'd be left. We'd be left as an outlier of British Airways with a bog standard service, and that was the concern that was given. And just one other point as well, and I know that you mentioned one of the contributors at the last meeting. One of the contributors referenced Dublin Airport and Dublin Airport's capacity to deal with what it is that you're envisaging. And what you're envisaging, I think, is good for the country in terms of a transatlantic hub. But he called the Dublin Airport a shopping centre on a runway, because of the difficulties associated with taxiing and with the apron and things. Could you just enlighten us as to how you see that being resolved?
Start with the last question first. I've been very impressed by Dublin Airport. I think the management at DAA is way superior to anything that I experienced during my time at Aer Lingus. I think they recognise the value of a hub operation and are facilitating the development of a hub in a way that Aer Lingus didn't. In fact, if you remember, Aer Lingus, when they restructured the terminal buildings, actually stopped people from being able to transfer airside. And anybody who wanted to transfer from one flight to another had to come landside, and then go back through security to do it. I think the current management recognises that there's a huge opportunity for Dublin Airport to develop as a respective and credible hub on the transatlantic, and I admire them for that. So I believe that we can work with the management team at DAA. Dublin Airport is not a perfect airport, but I don't know any airport that is, and certainly there's always opportunities to improve the efficiency. But I wouldn't be critical of Dublin Airport. In fact, I think it's one of the better airports that we operate, and we operate to over 250 on a global basis. So I see that as a positive. In relation to other shareholders, we've not had any engagement with Ryanair. So all I can tell you is what has been said publicly and what has been said previously. And I know there have been some statements from Ryanair where they've said that they hope the Irish government would be pragmatic about this issue. I think they previously stated that they wouldn't sell if the Irish government wasn't selling, and I think the Irish government may have said they wouldn't sell if Ryanair isn't selling. So it's a bit of a standoff there. I don't know what their position is, but I would expect that the board of Ryanair would, at the appropriate time, give very careful consideration to what it is we're proposing. Remind me, I think the other issue was in relation to Shannon and Cork. I said I can appreciate that there's some concern being expressed. I think the concern is misplaced because, I'm a business person. I believe that the fundamental benefit you get is from operating those in a profitable way, and I believe that they are profitable today and will continue to be profitable and will continue to provide valuable feed. You've asked me, would I give a guarantee in relation to specific Shannon and Cork rather than just the general commitment that we've given in relation to Ireland. My advisor mightn't allow me to say this, but that is something that I would be prepared to do. Because to be honest, I see no reason why we wouldn't operate services from Shannon and from Cork to Heathrow. So maintaining the four daily services from Cork and the 3 daily services from Shannon. And I haven't heard anybody express concern about Dublin, because London is the busiest international route in the world, so of course we're going to be there. I can understand. I think, as I said, I think the concern is misplaced. I genuinely do.
Your indulgence, the concern comes from... I'm using my... The concern comes from the fact the last time, Mr. Walsh, the 74% was sold, Aer Lingus hightailed it out of Shannon and they went to Belfast. And I know the reasons, but that's the concern.
But let's be clear. There is nothing that the Irish government can do today.
I know that.
Zero. Nothing that the Irish government can do today to stop that happening. Absolutely nothing, other than all of you here to criticise the management team at Aer Lingus and to jump up and down. There's nothing you can do. Now, what we're offering you is a guarantee that does not exist. And we're offering a guarantee that nobody else who might be interested, and I haven't seen anybody other than Ryanair who is interested in Aer Lingus, would be prepared to give or would be capable of giving. Because we are the only airline that gets the benefit of feed from those destinations into London Heathrow. Nobody else would get that. So that's why, I think all of this concern about Cork and Shannon is completely misplaced. If people believe that it would be better for me to say, yes, we will continue for a period to operate Shannon Heathrow and Cork Heathrow with the 3 from Shannon and the 4 from Cork, yes, I'd be prepared to do that. I would not be prepared to go beyond.
For what length of time?
I would not be prepared to go beyond the 5 years.
Okay.
For the reasons I've outlined.
Okay. Both of you have used your extra minute now, so I'll go to that.